Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Jaya Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire. Nashtapraheshu Vadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtaki. So continuing with the discussion on Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, chapter 15, we're starting today, the Lord's Bogand Lila. Text 1. Kumanasu manastvam hi yati yasya padam jayav sumano arpana matrena tam chaitanya prabhum bhaje. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya, because simply by offering a flower at his lotus feet, even the most ardent materialist becomes a devotee. Simply by offering a flower at his lotus feet. That's his power. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. All glories to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all glories to Lord Nityananda Prabhu, all glories to Advaita Acharya, and all glories to all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya. Poganda Leela Sutra Kariye Gana, Poganda Vayase Prabhur Mukhya Adhyaya. Let me now enumerate the activities of the Lord between the ages of 5 and 10. His chief occupation during this period was to engage himself in studies. Poganda Leela Chaitanya Krishna Syati Suvistira Vidyarambha Mukhapani Grahananta Manohara. The pastimes of the Lord during his Pogand age were very extensive. His education was his chief occupation, and after that his very beautiful marriage took place. So marriage was with Lakshmi. Lakshmi he already met before in Kumar Leela. No, not Kumar, the childhood pastimes. But he'll marry her in Pogand Leela. Gangadas Pandit Sthane Padina Vyakrana Shravana Matre Kanthe Kaila Sutra Vritigan. When the Lord was studying grammar at the place of Gangadas Pandit, he would immediately learn grammatical rules and definitions by heart, simply by hearing them once. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that the Lord was given lessons by a teacher named Vishnu and another teacher named Sudarshan. Later on, when he was a little grown up, he was under the care of Gangadas Pandit, who taught him grammar of a higher standard. Anyone serious about studying the Sanskrit language should first learn grammar. It is said that simply to finish studying Sanskrit grammar takes at least 12 years. But once one learns the grammatical rules and regulations very nicely, all of the scriptures or subject matters in Sanskrit are extremely easy to understand. For Sanskrit, grammar is a gateway to education. So it takes at least 12 years to learn the Sanskrit grammar. Alpa kale haila panji tika te praveen, chira kaler paduya jine haiya naveen. He soon became so expert in commenting on the Panji Tika that he could win victory over all the other students, although he was a neophyte. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that there was a commentary on grammar named Panji Tika that was later explained very lucidly by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Adhyana Leela Prabhu Das Vrindavan Chaitanya Mangale Kaila Vistari Varnan. In his book Chaitanya Mangal, which later became Chaitanya Bhagavat, Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur has very elaborately described the Lord's pastimes of study. The Chaitanya Bhagavat, Adi Khanda chapters 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 are a good reference for the studious pastimes of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. एक दिन मातार पड़े करिया प्रणाम, प्रभु कहे माता मोर देह एक दान. One day, Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu fell down at the feet of his mother and requested her to give him one thing in charity. Mata bole tai depa ya tumi magibe, Prabhu kahe ekadashi anna na khaibe. His mother replied, "My dear son, I will give you whatever you ask." Then the Lord said, "My dear mother, please do not eat grains on the Ekadashi day." So Ekadashi is coming up on 12th week later. So this Mahaprabhu asked his mother, do not eat grains on Ekadashi. From the very beginning of his childhood life, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu introduced the system of observing a fast on the Ekadashi day. In the Bhakti Sandarbha by Srila Jiva Goswami, there is a quotation from the Skanda Puran admonishing that a person who eats grains on Ekadashi becomes a murderer of his mother, father, brother, and spiritual master. And that even if he is elevated to a Vaikuntha planet, he falls down. Wow. On Ekadashi, everything is cooked for Vishnu, including regular grains and dal, but it is enjoined that a Vaishnava should not even take Vishnu Prasadam on Ekadashi. It is said that a Vaishnava does not accept anything eatable that is not offered to Lord Vishnu. But on Ekadashi, a Vaishnava should not touch even Mahaprasadam offered to Vishnu, although such prasadam may be kept for being eaten the next day. It is strictly forbidden for one to accept any kind of grain on Ekadashi, even if it is offered to Lord Vishnu. So strictly forbidden. When in Jagannath Puri, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu followed this Ekadashi Vrata also, although in Jagannath Puri, Lord Jagannath and devotees, they don't follow this. But Mahaprabhu followed. But on Ekadashi day, somebody brought him Jagannath Prasadam, which was Anprasadam in Jagannath Puri. So he didn't want to disrespect Jagannath Prasadam, because Jagannath Prasadam is not different from Lord Jagannath. But at the same time, he didn't want to break his Ekadashi. So what did he do? He paid respects to the Prasad and kept it aside to be taken next day. So this is how strict he was. Shachi ke kahe na khaiva bhala ekahila, sei hate ekadashi karite lagila. Mother Shachi said, "You have spoken very nicely. I shall not eat grains on Ekadashi." From that day, she began to observe fasting on Ekadashi. It's a prejudice amongst Smartha Brahmins that a widow must observe fasting on Ekadashi, but a woman who is sadhava or sadhava, who has her husband, should not. It appears that before Lord Chaitanya's request, Shachi Mata, being sadhava, was not observing Ekadashi. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, however, introduced a system that a woman, even if not a widow, must observe the Ekadashi day and must not touch any kind of grains, even those offered to the deity of Vishnu. So before that, some other rules were there, but Mahaprabhu asked everybody to follow Ekadashi. Tabe Mishra Vishwarupir dekhiya jovan, kanya chahi vivah dite karile nama. Thereafter, seeing that Vishwarup was a grown-up youth, Jagannath Mishra wanted to find a girl and arrange a marriage ceremony for him. Vishwarup Shuninghar Chari Palaila, Sanyasa Kariya Tirtha Karivare Gela. Hearing of this, Vishwarup immediately left home and went away to accept sannyas and traveled from one place of pilgrimage to another. So this, I don't know, somehow we covered it yesterday. Shuni Shachi Mishrer Dukhi Hailaman, Tabe Prabhu Mata Pitar Kaila Ashvasan. When Shachi Mata and Jagannath Mishra heard of the departure of their elder son Vishwarup, they were very unhappy. But Lord Chaitanya tried to console them. Bhala Haila Vishwarup Sanyasa Karila Pitrikula Matrikula Dui Uddharila. My dear mother and father, the Lord said, it is very good that Vishwarup has accepted the sannyas order, for thus he has delivered both his father's family and his mother's family. Even Mahaprabhu is only, 5 years old, but he is consoling his parents, saying all these things. It is sometimes said that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu disapproved of the acceptance of sannyas order in this Kali Yuga, because in the Shastra it is said, Ashwamedham Gavalamalamam Sanyasam Pallapatrikam Devarena Sutoktapatim Kalo Pancha Vivarjayet. In this age of Kali, 5 acts are forbidden: the offering of a horse in sacrifice, the offering of a cow in sacrifice, the acceptance of the order of sannyas, the offering of oblations of flesh to the fathers, to the forefathers, and a man's begetting children in his brother's wife. So, earlier ages, it was all okay. So man's begetting children in his brother's wife only when, if she is a widow and his brother has died, so then the man marries his brother's wife if she doesn't have children, if she doesn't have a son. But that was not, it's in Kali Yuga it is forbidden. But why then sannyas? We see so many sannyasis in Gaudiya Math and in other sampradayas also. Prabhupada says, nevertheless, we see that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself accepted sannyas and approved of the sannyas of his elder brother Vishwarup. It is clearly said, Bhala Hela Vishwarup Sannyas Karila Pitrikul Matrikul Duyudhari. Therefore, should it be thought that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made statements that are contradictory? No, actually he did not. It is recommended that one accept sannyas to dedicate his life for the service of the Lord, and everyone must take that kind of sannyas. For by accepting such sannyas, one renders the best service to both his paternal and maternal families. But one should not accept the sannyas order of the Mayavad school, which has practically no meaning. We find many Mayavadi sannyasis simply loitering in the street, thinking themselves Brahman or Narayan and spending all day and night begging so they can fill their hungry bellies. Mayavadi sannyasis have become so degraded that there is a section of them who eat everything, just like hogs and dogs. It is such degraded sannyas that it is prohibited in this age. Actually, Sri Shankaracharya's principle for the acceptance of sannyas were very strict. But later the so-called Mayavadi sannyasis became degraded because of their false philosophy, which propounds that by accepting sannyas, one becomes Narayan, or one becomes God. And that is why when they meet each other, all these sannyasis and Mayavad school, they pay respects to each other saying, Namo Narayana. Means you are Narayan and I am Narayan, we all are Narayan. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rejected that kind of sannyas. But the acceptance of sannyas is one of the items of the Varnashram Dharma. How then can it be rejected? And moreover, one place Prabhupada also said that we offer sannyas for the purpose of preaching. So sannyasi means traveling and preaching. There's no other business for a sannyasi. Amita kariba toma dohar seva shuniya santushta haila pita matarman. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu assured his parents that he would serve them, and thus the minds of his father and mother were satisfied. Ek din naivedya tambul khai bhumi te padila prabhu achetana hai. One day Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ate betel nuts offered to the deity, but they acted as an intoxicant. Betel nuts means supari. And he fell down on the ground, unconscious. Betel nuts are an intoxicant, and therefore the regulative principles prohibit eating them. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastime of fainting after eating betel nuts is a strong instruction to all of us that one should not touch betel nuts, even those offered to Vishnu, just as one should not touch grain on the Ekadashi day. Of course, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's fainting had a particular purpose. As a Supreme Personality of Godhead, he can do whatever he likes and eat whatever he wants, but we should not imitate his pastimes. So we just have to follow the instructions, not imitate his pastimes. Aste vyaste pita mata mukhya dila pani, sushta haya kahe prabhu apurva kahini. After his father and mother sprinkled water on his mouth with great haste, the Lord revived and said something wonderful they had never heard before. Eta haite vishwarup mora laya gela, sannyasa karaha tumi amare kahila. The Lord said, Vishwarup took me away from here and he requested me to accept the sannyas order. Means when he was unconscious, he said, this is what I saw. Ami kahi amara anath pita mata, ami balak sannyasera kivan jahi janika tha. I replied to Vishwarup, I have my helpless father and mother, and also I am but a child. What do I know about the sannyas order of life? Grihastha haya kariba pita matar sevam iha te tushtu bhambin Lakshmi Narayan. Later I shall become a householder and thus serve my parents. For this action will very much satisfy Lord Narayan and his wife, the goddess of fortune. So right now he is saying all this, and he himself will take sannyas later. Tabe Vishwarupi ha pathaila more, mata ke kahiyo koti koti namaskare. Then Vishwarup returned me home and requested, offered thousands and thousands of obeisances unto my mother, Shachite. Ei mata nana lila kare gorhari, kikarane lila iha vujite na pari. In this way, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu performed various pastimes. But why did he so? I cannot understand. The Supreme Personality of Godhead and his devotees who come to this world are executing a mission, and therefore sometimes they act in a way that is very difficult to understand. It is said, therefore, Vaishnavera Kriya Mudra Vigyena Bhujaya. That even if one is a very learned and intelligent scholar, he cannot understand the activities of a Vaishnava. So what to speak of the activities or pastimes of the Lord? It's very difficult to understand. A Vaishnava accepts anything favorable for executing his mission. But foolish persons, not knowing the purpose of such exalted Vaishnavas, indulge in criticizing him. That is forbidden, since no one can understand what a Vaishnava does for the purpose of executing his mission. To criticize such a Vaishnava is the offense called sadhu ninda. So it's difficult, just like Prabhupada. For a sannyasi in India, it is said that he should not cross the 7 seas. Means Sat Samudar Par nahi jana. The Prabhupada did. Sannyasis are not supposed to wear any stitched clothes. Means they should be so renounced. Prabhupada wore not just stitched cloths, he wore coats and jackets and caps because it was so cold in America. He wore shoes. Even Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj wore shoes. Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj went to Radha Kund in a car. Nobody had even expected a sannyasi to do so. But Prabhupada, Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj, they adopted all this for the purpose of preaching. That's all. They were not attached to any of these things. He just did it for purpose of preaching. But those who want to see this from a scholarly angle or from a other angles, other requirements of sannyasa ashram. They cannot understand. So we have to see, basically. Prabhupada says a Vaishnav accepts anything favorable for executing his mission. That's the only purpose a Vaishnav does anything or whatever he does. Kat din rahi mishra gela paraloka mata putra duhara badila hridi shoka. After some days, Jagannath Mishra passed away from this world to transcendental world, and both mother and son were very much aggrieved in their hearts. So before that, the pastime we discussed yesterday, it happened when Jagannath Mishra asked Nimai not to go for studies anymore, because he was so much disturbed when Vishwarup took sannyas. He said, if Nimai also studies too much, then he'll also take sannyas later on. And then Nimai performed that pastime of sitting on the pile of pots, used unclean pots. And when Shachi Mata asked him, get down, he said, well, I don't know. I don't have any education. What is pure, what is impure? So how can I get down? You don't send me to school, so how can I get any education? Then all the everybody around, neighbors, they all came and they all told Jagannath Mishra and Shachi Mata, send him to school. Let him learn. Whatever is going to happen, it is going to happen anyway. So let him study. He wants to study. They said, our children don't want to go to school. They don't want to study. We have to forcibly send him. And here, Nimai is, he wants to study and you don't want to send him to school. That doesn't make sense. So that is when Nimai started school again. But it is said, because Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is saying that all these pastimes are described very much in detail in Chaitanya Bhagavat, so he's not going to describe them again. So he came to Jagannath Mishra passing away, because Jagannath Mishra was still so sad that Vishwarup had taken sannyas and left his house. So he could not bear that anymore. And he left. Bandhu bandhavasi duha prabodhina pitri kriya vidhi mate ishvara karina. Friends and relatives came there to pacify Lord Chaitanya and his mother. Then Lord Chaitanya, even though he was the supreme personality of God, and executed the rituals for his dead father according to the Vedic system. So he is the supreme Lord, but still he performed all those rituals. And actually, in Jagannath Puri, although Jagannath Puri, the calendar of Lord Jagannath is different from the rest of the world. He is completely different, actually. One time I was there, not during Rath Yatra, some other time I was there, and I was told that tomorrow Jagannath Ji is going to do Shraddh for his parents, for Dashrath Maharaj, for Jagannath Mishra, and for Nanda Baba. I was like, what is the Shraddh now? There's no Shraddh ceremony. It's not the Shraddh time. But they said, this is Jagannath's calendar. You just come. And then Jagannath Ji, Jagannath Baldev, they wear white. The pujaris wear them in white clothes. And they do all this, whatever rituals are there for the Shraddh ceremony. So in Jagannath Puri, they perform the Shraddh ceremony. Kata dinne Prabhu chitte karila chinta grihastha hilama evichahi grihta. After some days, the Lord thought, I did not take sannyas, and since I'm remaining at home, it's my duty to act as a grihastha. Grihini vina griha dharma nayahaya shobhana eta chinti viva karite haila. Without a wife, Lord Chaitanya considered, there is no meaning to the householder life. Thus the Lord decided to marry. Okay, so as we see, not many pastimes are described here, but there are many, many wonderful pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu studying. And in fact, one pastime is because he was so naughty even during his study time. So every day, the kids, Nimai and his friends, they would go to Ganges to take bath and then come after school. So what he would do when he would go to take bath, Brahmins would be over there chanting the Gayatri while they would be standing in the Ganges and they would be chanting Gayatri. So Nimai and his friends, what they would do, they would swim and go underwater and pull the dhoti of all the Brahmins. So they would come to the banks of Ganges and just put everybody's clothes here and there. And the Brahmins would be all shouting at him and they would complain to Jagannath Mishra. So one day what he did was, he did all this and the Brahmins were very angry. They said, we are going to go tell your father and he will chastise you. So Nimai ran from there and came home. So like we studied yesterday, that he was studying and starting to study. So he would be now, in the beginning, he was using the chalk. Now he was older, so he was using ink. So when he would go bathe in Ganges, ink will all wash away. But he came home and Shachi Mata asked him, how come you came home early today? You didn't go for bathing? No, Ma, I just didn't want to go for bathing in the Ganges, so I came. And then see, the ink is still there ink was still there on his hands. So you just give me, Ma, you give me something to eat. Okay. So meanwhile, Jagannath Mishra was outside and the Brahmins complained to him that your son, this is what he did and he does it every day. So Jagannath Mishra got angry. What is this, Nimai, you're doing? And he came home that today I'm not going to leave him, I'm going to beat him up. So he came home and Nimai was having his lunch and Nimai said, I did not go to the Ganges today. See, ink is there still on my hands. I came home to have lunch. And now Jagannath Mishra was surprised. Why the Brahmins are complaining when this boy didn't even go there? So this was his pastime. And one day, and now this is very, very amazing pastime. So after taking bath in Ganges, Nimai and all the friends, they were coming home. On the way, they found some puppies, dog puppies. So Nimai picked up the best of the puppies and he said, this is mine, but we'll all play with him. So now, just like in any group of friends, it happens that some of the friends, they didn't like why Nimai gets the best things all the time. So they didn't just like it, but they still wanted to play with the puppy, so they came. So Nimai brought the puppy home and all the friends came. And Shachi Mata, when he saw Nimai got the puppy, she was so upset. Nimai, what are you doing? Why are you so restless? You are a Brahman's son. What business you have bringing the puppy home? And not just bringing the puppy, you're letting him play on your chest and you're kissing him and he's jumping on your neck all over. This is so dirty. No, 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 we want to have this puppy. I love this puppy. I want to play with him. And then after a while, Shachi Mata said, okay, this is too much. She said, okay, it's time for you to have lunch. So go take bath in Ganges and come back. And she told all his friends also, you go home now. So Nimai, while leaving, he told Shachi Mata, you please take care of my puppy and I'll go take bath and come back. Okay. So Nimai took bath and came back. And while he was coming back, one of the boys who was upset why Nimai gets the best of it. He went to Nimai because Shachi Mata, when Nimai left, she let the puppy go. She said, get out of here. Just go away. So the boy told Nimai that Shachi Mata let go of the puppy. So Nimai ran home and looked for the puppy, and there was no puppy. He asked Shachimata. Shachimata said, oh, well, I got busy in making lunch, so I don't know where he went. He must be around. You just have lunch. No, 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 I want to have my puppy. And somehow Shachimata consoled him. Now that puppy, now this is most important thing to see. He just got this causeless mercy. We don't know what he did in his previous lives. Obviously, he must have done something. But this life, he was just a puppy, little dog's puppy. So he was caressed by Nimai. He got a chance to play on the body of Nimai. Nimai loved him so much. That puppy, when Shachi Mata let him go, he came to the streets of Navdeep, where all the market was. And while coming, and in the market of Navdeep, he stood on his two behind legs, and with the front legs up in the air, he was doing Sankirtan. He was chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Little puppy. And he was, while chanting and singing like this, he fell down dead. And the residents of Navdeep saw immediately an aeroplane came, golden aeroplane came from Vaikuntha, and they took the puppy in the very self-same body. He was completely spiritualized. They took the puppy back to Vaikuntha. This is mercy of Mahaprabhu. So normally it is said, yes, we cannot perform devotion service if we don't have a human form, and a human form is useless if we don't perform devotion service. But Nimai can do anything. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can do anything. He can bestow his mercy on anybody, even animals, and then make animals also chant and dance in Sankirtan. This is Nimai. So further, Lord Chaitanya is thinking of getting married now. Na griham grihamiti yat or grihini griham uchyate. Daya hi sahita sarvan purusharthan samashnute. Merely a house is not a home, for it is a wife who gives a home its meaning. If one lives at home with his wife together, they can fulfill all the interests of human life. So all the interests is dharma, artha, kam, and moksha. Deva eka dina prabhu padiya site vallabhacharya kanya dekha ganga pathe. One day when the Lord was coming back from school, he accidentally saw the daughter of Vallabhacharya on the way to the Ganges. Purva Siddha Bhava Duhar Udaya Karila Deve Vanna Mali Ghatak Shachistvani. When the Lord and Lakshmi Devi met, the relationship awakened, having already been settled. And coincidentally, the marriage maker, one Mali, came to see Shachit. So one Mali Ghatak, a resident of Navdeep and a Brahmin by caste, arranged the marriage of the Lord to Lakshmi Devi. He was formerly Vishwamitra, who negotiated the marriage of Lord Ramchandra. And later he was a Brahmin who negotiated the marriage of Lord Krishna with Rukmini. That same Brahmin acted as a marriage maker of the Lord in Chaitanya Leela. Okay. So Vishwamitra Muni. Shachira ingite sambandha karila ghatana Lakshmi ke vivaha kaila Shachira nanda. Following the indications of Shachi Devi, Vanmali Ghatak arranged the marriage, and thus in due course the Lord married Lakshmi Devi. Vistariya Varnilataha Vrindavan Das Eitapo Ganda Lila Sutra Prakar. Vrindavan Das Thakur has elaborately described all these pastimes of the Lord's early age. What I have given is but a condensed presentation of the same pastimes. So it will be very interesting to read Chaitanya Bhagavat after we complete Chaitanya Charitamrita. Poganda Vayasa Lila Bahuta Prakar Vrindavan Dasa Vrindavan Das Iha Kariyachen Vistan. The Lord performed many varieties of pastimes in his early age, and Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur has described them elaborately. Ateva din matra iha dekhila Chaitanya Mangale Sarva Loka Khyata Haila. I have given but a single hint of these pastimes. So Vrindavan Das Thakur in his book Chaitanya Mangal, now Chaitanya Bhagavat has described them all vividly. Shirup Raghunath Padayara Chaitanya Charitamrita Kahe Krishna Das. Praying at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa and Sri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy. I, Krishnadas, narrate Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, following in their footsteps. So thus end the Bhaktivedanta purport, so Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila, 15th chapter, describing the Lord's Bhokand Lila. So we'll stop here. See anybody has any questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, one incident you talked about, Nitai, that puppy, bringing puppy at home, and his mother scolded why you bringing, because in Brahmin family you shouldn't. This is quite often happens. I mean, it happens in my house also. It's bad. I mean, the dogs and puppies are bad in my house. So, and one more story behind it. When Yudhishthir Maharaj was traveling to Swargalok, I mean, with brothers, one of the dogs followed them, and at the gate, I think he was stopped. He said that you cannot enter because I think there's somewhere it's mentioned that dog, you cannot keep dog along with you, and something like this. Are you aware of this, Prabhuji? Any story behind it?
Yeah,
Why not?
it is said somewhere I read in Prabhupada's books only that if you the plate, the bhoga plate that we make for the Lord with all the food items, if a dog sees it, then we have to throw it away. We cannot offer it to the Lord. I don't know why it says only for the dog. It doesn't say a cat sees it or anything else. No, it only says about dog. So, and also there's mentioned that with dogs, especially with dogs, it happens, people become very attached to the dogs. So for a devotee, it's not good because they should be attached to Krishna. Because if we get attached to dog and we die with that consciousness, then the next birth will take that body. So why take chance? Bharat Maharaj's example is there. He took the body of a deer.
Yeah.
So why take chances?
Exactly. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Okay, I guess we can stop here. You all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhu.